In this lecture, we are going to discuss, can we land on Mars? The question, as we discuss in this series, this is third lecture, as we discuss that can we land on Mercury, that is the first planet from Sun, can we land on Venus, that is the second planet from Sun. Obviously we are there on Earth, therefore I am not discussing that. So we are going to discuss can we land on Mars. Now we are aware that planets from Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, all these four planets, they are called as terrestrial planet. They are also called as inner planets because they are there between Sun and asteroid belt. So they are called as inner planet, as well as they are called as terrestrial planet because like Earth is having earth crust, some coating, solid coating is available, that is surface. So similar surface is available for Mars also. So Mercury is in gaseous phase, answer some part is in gaseous part. That is very rare atmosphere of Mercury. But land is there and inside we don't know. Venus, gas, liquid and solid, all three stages are there. You are aware that very dense atmosphere is there for Venus. As well as you are aware that surface is there for Venus and sulfuric acid is there, rainfall is there of sulfuric acid, and therefore Venus is exhibiting all three stages. On Earth, same thing, that Earth is having water, Earth is having liquid, that is mantle part, that is liquid or semi-solid, and then again core, which is solid, and earth crust obviously solid. So same way Mars should have these three stages. Answer is most probably yes, because we are aware of that Mars is having atmosphere, but the atmosphere is not as dense as atmosphere of Earth, and obviously we can't compare with Venus also. So Mars is having good atmosphere, but that is not as dense as Earth's atmosphere. Mars is having land, answer is yes, and therefore we can land on Mars by first part. Now second part, that whether it is sustainable to land on Mars, answer again we have to say yes. If we are going to discuss at time of Mercury, that is the first planet, we discussed that we can land but towards the night portion of Mercury. For Venus it was just impossible with present technology. We don't know, now nanotechnology is developing out, already fibers, that fiber technique is also developed. So we don't know whether we have in future such material which can resist very high atmospheric pressure as well as very high heat. Then it is possible to land on Venus also. But here it is possible to land on Mars. Answer is yes, because temperature is less than temperature of Earth, average temperature. So it is possible to land on Mars. Now already NASA and in recent practice China able to send their rovers on Mars surface. The surface of Mars is well mapped. India is also having participation. ISRO sent a mission that is called as Mangalyaan, that is MOM, Mars Orbital Mission. No doubt we are much behind than NASA, but we started our development in much later phase, and already whatever the resources we were using with that our development is comparatively good. So comparatively means with whom we are going to compare, accordingly it is good. So here we are having answer to the question, can we land on Mars? Answer is yes. It is comparatively safe to land on Mars, but what we can observe from Mars? So obvious thing, we can observe all planets as well as two satellites of Mars. They are Phobos and Deimos. Surprised to know, both the satellites are not having spherical shape. Otherwise, you must have noticed that various planets as well as their satellites, they are having spherical or that is called a geoid shape. Geoid means bulging out at equator. That is because of high rotational motion. The sphere is tend to bulge out at equator and getting flat from the polar region. So on Mars, we observed two satellites, Phobos and Deimos, but they are not spherical. Again, if you are there in the polar region of Mars, you can observe ice caps. Actually, from Earth also, with high resolution telescope, we can observe ice caps. But the ice caps are not made up of water. They are made up of solid carbon dioxide. On Mars, season cycle is also there, like Earth, because whatever we are calling that ecliptical axis, that means suppose this is the Sun, this is Earth. So in this plane, Earth is revolving around Sun. So axis is tilted out, or simply we can say there is angle with day-night line of Earth. So same way Mars is also having a rotational angle with day-night line of Mars, and therefore very good season cycle that is also observed. But the thing is that Sun is comparatively away from Mars. You are aware that in the solar system we are measuring out distance in terms of astronomical unit. That is average distance between Sun and Earth, that we are considering as 15 crore kilometer. So Earth is one astronomical unit away from Sun. Then Mars is approximately 1.66 astronomical unit away from the Sun. So it is very good, far away from the Sun. No doubt Mars is also having elliptical orbit. So Mars is also having perihelion position and aphelion position. That means the point where Mars is very close to Sun, that is perihelion, and Mars is away from Sun, that is aphelion. And tilted axis. All these things are making season cycle on Mars. Water existence is not observed on Mars, or rather I should say surface of Mars. But if you observe photograph, because of NASA and their rovers, we are having very close photographs of that land of Mars. It is having very much similarity with Earth's surface, particularly in the desert area. How desert area is looking like that area is observed on Mars. Particularly, you can observe the landforms. They are suggesting out that once upon time water was flowing, or any liquid, not necessarily water, but any liquid was flowing on the surface, and that's why certain landforms like stream, then rocks which have eroded, and all these things are suggesting out that once upon time water was there on Mars. And yet many people believe today also that there must be some form of life on Mars today also. But in past tense, when water was there, at that time life was there on Mars. How Mars lost out water is a mystery. Maybe possible all water is there now underground. It can be possible. On surface we are not getting water, but inside the landmass there may be water. Maybe. Or second theory is that Sun is emitting out flares. That is solar flares. When Sun was young, very young, at that time flares were emitted continuously, time to time. Continuously means don't consider that always, but the frequency was more. Now frequency is decreased. I am not saying getting zero, it is decreased. Earth is having a strong magnetic field, and therefore Earth is protected to very great extent from solar flares. Because when solar flares are there, they are having charged particles. And because Earth is also having magnetic field, and you are aware that if charged body is in motion, it is producing magnetic field around it. And therefore these winds are called as magnetic winds. They get neutralized in the polar region of Earth, getting fantastic light. We are calling that as aurora. In northern hemisphere it is called as aurora borealis. In southern hemisphere it is called as aurora australis. So like that, they are discharged in atmosphere. But for Mars, such magnetic field is not there. And therefore it is believed that because of these flares, water might have lost from surface of Mars. But then question is not answered, that why other gases are there, particularly carbon dioxide is in very great extent, and a soft dust is there on Mars. So if you are going to plan that okay, we are there landing on Mars, then keep in mind those who are having allergy of dust like me. We have problem on Mars because there are winds. So whatever that rare or comparatively rare atmosphere is there on Mars, but they are producing winds. NASA's rover pointed out that tornadoes are also observed on Mars. Mars is observing sunrise, sunset like Earth, and therefore if you are landing on Mars, then you may be having trouble of dust. Right now it is possible, we can say, that in vicinity we can go to Mars, we can have temporary habitat on Mars, but in order to develop like Earth, first we have to fight with carbon dioxide existence, we have to plant trees over there, for that purpose water is required. So all these things are doubtful, and therefore with present knowledge we can say we can make it something like a picnic spot, that we can go there, stay there and come back. So like that things are possible in near vicinity. I don't know what will happen after 500 years. Maybe possible it is second Earth like that if you created. Then the biggest question is that whatever Earth we are having, we have to protect it. We are going to destroy environment of Earth, and we are going to plan on Mars. So is it right thing? So first thing is that whatever planet we are living on that planet, we have to get protected that planet. We have to use minimum pollutant. I am not saying that don't use any pollutant, because it is now inevitable part. And you are aware that living system, life system is having very good concept. That is, they are getting, we can say, aligned to whatever the atmospheric changes are there. Evolution is based on that only, that time to time climate change, and accordingly life system also adjusted according to that. So right today I am recording this video in 2022. So from past 2 years we are also getting aligned with corona and that lockdown, semi-lockdown and all that concept. So like that may be possible life system might have changed on Earth, because initially it is believed that Earth's atmosphere was also of reducing nature. Oxygen was not present in Earth's atmosphere. But because of this photosynthesis process, oxygen started rising in the Earth's atmosphere. And now this is the present situation. So initially oxygen should be considered as pollutant because it was not there. So it should be considered as pollutant. But now life system changed themselves in such a way, life adopted in such a way that oxygen was used as main source of energy. So like that we can have concept on Mars also. So let us hope for betterment of Earth first and then of Mars. So next video we are going to discuss whether it is possible to land on Jupiter and Jupiter system. Thanks for observing this video.